On today's Academy lesson, we're going to go over 3 face-up controls. Now, face-up controls are controls that are done when the cards are actually face-up. So these are going to work in tricks where the spectator knows that you know what card they picked. So you have to think of the particular trick where this would best fit and use it accordingly. However, today you are going to learn 3 very easy and practical controls you could do with any deck of playing cards. So for this particular control, the cards are spread and the spectator touches any card they want. Let's say they touch this 6 of spades. This card is then squared up into the middle of the deck. The rest of the cards are placed on top, and in that action, the card is controlled directly to the top of the deck. Now this one is very similar, if not the same, to something that John Kerry put out. Now this is something that I independently thought up a long time ago. However, I'm 1000% sure that it was one of those things that everyone has thought up. But it was just something that I came up with playing around. And then recently I've seen that John Kerry has something very similar. Now, the actual mechanics for this use my favorite move, the spread call. So for this particular technique, you're going to spread the cards face up. You're going to call any random card you want. So you're going to spread call any card as you spread the cards and have the spectator touch the face of any card they want. So for this particular version, all you're doing is you're spread calling any random card. So as you're spreading the cards, you just note one, and that card is going to be the one that you spread call. In this case, it's going to be the Queen of Hearts that I just pull apart in the spread. I have the spectator touch any card they want. Whichever card they touch, I make sure that my spread called card goes directly on top of their card. So let's say they touch the 8 of clubs. Notice that my Queen of Hearts is directly on top of the card that the spectator picked. The reason for this is that when I square up the cards, what's going to happen is that that card is going to get squared up in front of the card they picked, the 8 of clubs, which switches it naturally for the Queen of Hearts. Now, as you square the card up, what's going to happen is that you're going to turn this half over into your left hand. You're going to turn the right half over and use your thumb to pick off this new top card as you place it on this half. If you want, you can leave it out jogged. If not, you could just leave it squared up with the deck as you turn this half over and replace it on top. What that does is that that's going to control that card directly to the top of the deck. Let's go over that move one more time. This time, I'm going to leave the switched card face down just for the explanation's sake. So remember, you're calling any random card, which in this case, I'm leaving face up. The spectators touch any card they want. So let's say they touch this one, the Ace of Spades. That Jack of Diamonds is going directly below the Ace of Spades as this half is squared up. Now I turn this half over. I turn my right palm over and use my thumb to take this card, which they think is their card. Really, it's the switched card. As I turn this half over on top, now I square everything up. And of course, in that action, the Ace of Spades is controlled to the top of the deck. Now, this is a very interesting control because you could also use it to control a card to a certain position, depending on how many cards you call. Using this technique and spread calling 2 cards allows you to control a second card from the top of the deck. So what that means is that instead of just calling 1 card, I'm actually going to call 2 cards. So at this point, I'm calling 2 cards as I have the spectator touch any card they want. So now when I do the exact same action, this time their card isn't getting controlled directly to the top of the deck. So now it seems like their card is being lost in the middle. However, in reality, their card is actually second from the top of the deck. So you could do a double lift. You could do whatever action you want to show that card is on top now. Or you could just leave it be and know that that card is second from the top of the deck. Again, that's done by instead of calling 1 card, this time you're calling 2 cards and having the spectator touch any card they want. Of course, squaring it up, doing the actions of the control. And now their card is controlled second from the top of the deck. So this next control looks a little bit like this. You have the spectator name any card they want that they see. Let's say they name the Queen of Spades. That card is taken and scored up into the middle of the deck. And of course, in that action, their card is controlled directly to the top of the deck. This is a more direct control than the previous one. However, it is very deceptive. So for this, you're going to spread the cards in your hand. You're going to have the spectator name any card. And what's going to happen is you're going to get a break below the card below that card. So in this case, let's say the spectator touches or names the 7 of diamonds. We get a break below the 6 of clubs in this case as we square up the cards. Now what's going to happen is that we're actually going to square this half that we're holding in our right hand with those cards. So now our pinky break, if we lift up, is actually on the 6 of clubs. So in action, all that's happening is that you're going to square up the cards. And in one motion, you're going to pick up everything at the break, which is actually going to pick up the 7 of diamonds and the 6 of clubs below it. But in one smooth action, what's going to happen is that you're going to turn over these cards much like before. You're going to turn these cards away from yourself and use your thumb to grab this top card as your hand flips back and revolves this half back on top of the deck. You could square this into the deck, and now that card is on top of the deck. Let's go over that one more time. Let's say we're controlling the king of diamonds. We get a break below the card below the king of diamonds, sorry. So in this case, we're getting a break below the jack of clubs. So as we square up these cards, we're going to pick everything up at the break. We're going to turn this half over, revolve this half towards the spectator as we use our thumb to outjog that card, revolve everything back and flip it on top of the deck, square it up, and now the card's on top of the deck. This one is actually a control that you could use to control the card wherever it is that you want, assuming that you get a break below that many cards. So let's say you want to control this card second from the face of the deck, much like before. What's going to happen is instead of getting a break below this card, which is the 7 of hearts, the card directly below the card they touched, you're going to get a break below the third card from the top. So in this case, they touched the 6 of diamonds. You have a break below the third card from the face of this one. So now when you square up the cards, it's going to be in the exact same position as the previous control, although this time their card isn't controlled to the top, it's controlled second from the top. You could do this with however many cards you want. If you need the card controlled 4th or 5th from the top, you do the same exact action as before, and the move doesn't change. It's the exact same move each and every single time. The only difference is that now their card is controlled to a position of your choosing. So this is a very interesting control for that aspect. And it's very deceptive. If you want, you could even outjog the card right before you do it, so that when you square it up, it gives a little bit more of a retention of vision for that card actually going in the middle. So the way that works, you outjog the card, you take this opportunity to get a break below the ace of hearts, the card directly below it. You could call attention to the card. When you square it up, you are essentially doing a reverse Gary Roulette force. So you're doing pretty much that Gary Roulette force we've discussed in a previous lesson. However, you're doing it in reverse. So you're continuing the action, revolving this card, flipping over this half, and squaring up the cards. And now that card is controlled directly to the top of the deck. So there you have a very effective control where you can control the card anywhere you want as long as you get the appropriate break. This next control is a little bit bold. It does the same action as before, however, without the necessity of the card underneath. So for this one, what's going to happen is you're going to have the spectator touch any card they want. Let's say they touch the ace of spades. Now, of course, in revolving this action, you outjog the ace of spades. That card gets squared up, and of course, it's on top. This is a little bit of a bold control. However, because of the spectator's lack of knowledge of orientation of the cards, you're going to get away with it. So for this, you're going to have the spectator touch any card whatsoever. Let's say they touch the jack of diamonds. Now, in squaring up the cards, you're just going to get a break below the jack of diamonds itself. So now, when you pick up the break, you're going to turn this half over at the same time that you turn this half over. However, your fingertips are going to square up and spread these cards at the same time that you're outjogging this card that's on top of the left-handed packet. Now, that sounds like a lot is happening, but really, nothing is happening. When you square this card up, their card is already on top of the deck. So let's go over that again. They touch the king of clubs. You're getting a break below the king of clubs as you square up the cards, immediately lifting everything up at the break. So now you revolve these cards, much like that double lift. You revolve these cards at the same time you turn this packet over. You spread these cards as you outjog this supposed card that you're calling as the spectator's card. Square this up, and of course, you've controlled their card to the top. So let's leave their card face down for the sake of explanation. So here, in this case, let's say they touch this one. And that is what the control looks like. You're just squaring it up in the deck, showing it to them one last time. And of course, their card is on top, but it's been on top the entire time. So that's just a little bit of a bold control that you could use whenever the situation calls for it. But there you go. You have 3 very easy, very convincing controls from a face-up deck of cards. Now, of course, the downside to these is that you yourself are seeing the card that the spectator picks. So you need to determine the trick that best works for this particular method. However, just know that these are 3 very easy, very deceptive controls you could do with a deck of cards, and a trick that calls for the card to be picked from a face-up deck. So that is that. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys performed those. Those are very easy controls, and I hope that you guys make use of those in your particular routines. Thank you guys for being part of the Academy. Really, really does help a lot. I'm going to go see you on the next one.